Okay, welcome everyone to the open board meeting of November 12th, 2025. I would like to acknowledge that we are privileged to meet on the unceded and the ancestral territories of the Squamish and the St'át'imc Nation. We have an agenda recommendation, and I'd just like to note that this is an amended agenda for today. And if there's someone prepared to make that recommendation, now would be the time.
That the amended agenda of this meeting be approved.
Thank you, Lisa. And is there a seconder? Thank you, Rachel. Any opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. We have 2-minute recommendations.
That the minutes of the board meeting held on October 8th, 2025 be adopted.
Thank you, Lisa. And a seconder for that? Rachel, thank you so much. Anyone opposed? Seeing none, those are carried. And the second set of minutes?
That the summary minutes of the in-camera board meeting held on October 8th, 2025 be adopted.
Thank you again, Lisa. And a seconder for that? Rachel, thanks again. Thank you. Thank you, Melissa, also. Anyone opposed? Seeing none, those two are carried. That brings us to item number 3, announcements, which begin with the chairperson's remarks. And I just like to say that I am here stepping in for our usual chair of the board, Rebecca Barley, who's unable to attend today. And so I will take this opportunity to share with everyone some of the things that I've been up to this month. And I think maybe I'll begin by mentioning that I was attending the Remembrance Day ceremony at Whistler Secondary School and at Myrtle Phillip Elementary School. And I just want to extend my thanks and appreciation to the staff and the students who coordinated to make those ceremonies both very meaningful and I hope memorable for everyone who was able to attend and who was involved. Also at Myrtle Phillip, I volunteered with some other parents and some children to make harvest soup. That was a very exciting yet slightly frightening experience. We had big buddies and little buddies chopping vegetables together and cooking food, and it was really nice. It was lovely to see the school come together and the multi-age classrooms or groupings, I suppose, at this stage, because it was the big buddies and the little buddies. It was nice to see that multi-age interaction and dynamic. And of course, a lovely opportunity to make food and eat food and share together. It was nice to meet some of the other parents. And again, a big thank you to Jane Millen and all of the people at Myrtle Phillip for coordinating Harvest Soup this year. Again, just quickly speak for Lisa Turpin and I, but Lisa, you can carry on later. We both attended the school learning plan at St'át'imc Elementary School, and then Celeste Bickford and I attended one at Don Ross. Always an excellent opportunity to interact and learn about things that are happening in our school district. And finally, many of the board members were able to attend a learning session this month where we focused on the BCSTA document on communication and public engagement. So this was a nice opportunity to come together and do a little bit of self-directed learning. I think that's all I have to discuss at this point. I will turn it now to the trustees if there's any trustee remarks.
I just wanted to say thank you to Signal Hill for their annual pit cook. It's always so much fun, and they also do the harvest soup. So nice. Krista always tries to have it be the day after Halloween so that the kids have something nice and healthy and their classrooms smell delicious. But Halloween was on a Friday, so she did the harvest soup on Friday. I wasn't able to attend the pit cook, but we did drop off a couple of tents for them because it was supposed to just downpour, but it turned out to be a beautiful day because we were prepared with so many tents. And but we did stop in so I could show my husband, because I'd been talking about it for a couple of years when he's usually farming. So I took him and showed him how it goes, and Krista showed us around, and it was really neat to see. And she had the teenagers at the high school make the sticks that hold the fish. So that was kind of cool, bringing the two schools together for that. And I love how the community really gets involved with the Pit Cook. It's turned into such a wonderful community event. I was also at the provincial council, and I want to thank the BCSTA for all of the work that goes into organizing this important event. And I was also at the school learning plans, but we'll talk about that next month. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to go to the Remembrance Day ceremonies, but I do want to say that my kids came home, and they came home with some really meaningful questions and statements about the day. So I appreciate that.
That's really nice. Thank you. And Rachel.
Yeah, I'd like to draw your attention to the 2026-27 annual budget development survey now available on the district website. This is an important opportunity for parents, staff, students, and community members to provide input into the Board of Education's budget setting process. So our funding decisions align with the district's education plan and the needs of our sites. The survey is now open and will close on November 28th. So you're encouraged to take a few minutes to complete it and share your views. You'll find the survey available by going to our homepage under Board and then Public Engagement. And the survey is in the top item labeled 2026-2027 Annual Budget Development Survey. And then the results will be compiled and discussed at our annual partner group meeting in February.
Great. Thank you for that excellent reminder.
And
Lisa.
thank you, Cynthia. You've already highlighted a couple of the things that we attended together. And I just wanted to remind folks that House Sound Gala is coming up Friday, right? No, next Friday. So their tickets are available for that amazing event. So you've missed the early bird, but yeah. There's only 40 and I've got mine too. Yay, I get to dress up. So yeah, thanks.
I remember you talking about that last year.
Yeah, it was so good. Like
Yeah.
the food last year was absolutely incredible. And I came home raving about it. And my husband's like, well, why didn't you take me? And it's like, well, what? So this year he has a tip. So
It's a great event.
it is fantastic. It's delicious. So your soup, yeah, it is absolutely amazing. So no bar at all. Last year. Oh, no, I mean like no high
No
bars.
high bar
that-
bet.
Yeah. Yeah. See that last year. That's new. So yeah, it was lovely. So
Lovely.
looking forward to that this next month.
Terrific. All right. Thank you everyone for your comments. We'll move along to our superintendent's remarks.
Thank you. Okay, so Superintendent Nicholson is unable to be here tonight, so I'm happy to share these remarks. So on Friday, November 7th, our schools honored both Indigenous and Remembrance Day. And these moments of reflection remind us of the courage and sacrifice of those who served, especially and including Indigenous veterans whose contributions too often have gone unrecognized. Please check out our website to learn more. I also want to thank our students and staff for the thoughtful ceremonies held across the district throughout the week. They were moving, respectful, and a meaningful way to pause and remember together. As we move into the winter months, just a quick reminder about the school district's inclement weather and school closure policy. Well, we did send a reminder out to all families and posted the information on our website. Please note that schools will remain open unless severe weather or facility issues make it unsafe to do so. We also understand that conditions can vary across the communities in the district, so schools will adjust expectations and support students regardless of attendance on those days. And of course, we recognize the right of parents and guardians to use their discretion in deciding whether it's safe for their child to attend school during inclement weather, and ask that if folks do decide to keep their child at home, that they notify the school office as early as possible. And the most up-to-date information can always be found on our district's website. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks so much. And I'll turn it over now to Danielle Haverstock for any secretary treasurer.
Thank you. The only thing I have to say is that questions of clarification can be sent from the public to the board at board@sd48.bc.ca, or questions can also be asked here in person. If there's anybody that has something they would like to ask, they can be done at the end of the board meeting, and we'll do our best to answer the questions at the end of the meeting today.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, and now we're on to item 4 on our agenda, which is a staff student presentation called I Am Connected, an Orange Shirt Day by Mamquam Elementary.
Oh, should I hold it? I guess so. Okay. Hi, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for
For
coming.
people who don't know who I am, who am I looking at, by the way? Am I looking at the owl or at all of you? Okay. I feel like I'm in a news center or something. Okay. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Janelle Kresick, and I'm the principal at Mamquam Elementary. So I'm just here to share today a little project that we did as our kickoff for our school year. So I'm going to pass out these books because they will come up. I just gathered 5 copies. So how many people do we have? Maybe you guys can share if we need to.
the trust.
Paul, you can
Yeah.
you can look over someone's shoulder, maybe.
Sorry? Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. And then there's one extra. So Danielle or Paul, one of you.
Satya.
I'll do it.
You
can call yourself. There you go. I'll put it there.
Thanks. Thank you.
Okay. So you're welcome to flip through it as I talk. But it's a pretty special book, and I think has beautiful artistry and beautiful message as well. So we decided this year, this is my 2nd year as principal at Mamquam, and decided that having a theme for the beginning of the school year would be really beneficial. So can you advance the slide? Perfect. So noticing that first week of school, as many of you probably know, we're still adjusting numbers, we're figuring out class placements, and students are going to their classroom from the previous year. So in some ways, this is really nice to reconnect with former classmates and teachers. And then sometimes there's a lot of anticipation and emotions around what's next year going to look like. So we decided to try to help the staff and students ease their way back into school, that we should have a school-wide theme that would kind of bring us all together as a school community during this time where there's a lot of emotions and a lot of feelings about what's going to happen this next school year. So just kind of as an example of why we chose to do a theme, it provided unity for our school. The whole school, K to 6, is all kind of focused on this one theme, I'm Connected. So that brings in whole school community, staff, students, and everybody else involved. We also found that it was really grounding for the whole school to be working on a similar message, the whole school looking at the same type of thing in the same moment. So different activities, same activities, but we're all focused on the same thing. So we're coming together knowing that summer was busy and we're being grounded in one theme. And then that it really creates a sense of belonging when we're all looking at similar things, and it's something to talk about with your friends, something to talk about with teachers, and everyone can come together around it. You can go to the next slide, thanks. So the author of this book, her name is Kang Jade. So this woman is a really lovely author who lives in the Vancouver area, but she's got some Haida, Musqueam, and Squamish Nation in her heritage. So she actually came to our school last year. If you can switch to the next slide. So we were lucky to have Kang Jade visit our school last November. So she came to our school, and I think Statmas as well had her come on the same day. So she originally wrote a couple of books about the story of the Raven, and our school is the ravens. So she told the stories of the raven and made some connections with that with our school. And then at our school visit, she had told us that she had a new book coming out. So this is the new book that she had come out. It came out, I think, in January or February. So after hearing this, after meeting her, she was a very good storyteller. The kids really enjoyed having her in our school. And then I ordered a copy of the book to see what it was like. And if you recognize a bit of the artistry, maybe, the book, Be a Good Ancestor, was illustrated by the same woman. So different author, but same illustrator. So again, just that like super beautiful whole page art. And the story is just wonderful that goes along with it. So we met her, we loved her, we got the book, we loved the book. And so then we thought, what can we do to kind of make this part of our school? So we decided to use it as our school kickoff. You can go to the next slide. So we had actually a lot of really great ideas around this book. Oh, there it is. I am connected. You can go to the next one. You have the book in front of you. We had actually a lot of really good ideas from our staff. We did a summer Pro D Day. I had given teachers every classroom this book before the summer so that they could look at it and think about it over the summer, think about what we wanted to do together. We had ideas from like ceramic clay to, you know, whole murals and writing, lots of different activities, but we were trying to find the balance of what is a simple enough task that kids could complete K to 6 and also complete within about a week, knowing that you could sort of work on it when you have your new classrooms, but we really wanted this to be an activity for the classes from the previous year. So we kind of landed on two main ideas to do. So I didn't have great pictures of the chain. The only one I had was the one of the girl's hair. But the idea was that the questions within the book, if you read a couple pages, they ask a lot of prompting questions that are just really great about community and family and all of these different experiences. So we had teachers have children create a paper chain that answered some of these questions. So they wrote up some of the questions after they read the story on the board, and then the kids would answer the question on the chain with the idea that like we can all link together, we're all connected. So everybody made a paper chain. Some kids made a couple loops, some made really long loops, just depending on what they felt connected to. So that was the one part of it. And then the other part, you can see on the side with the colorful drawings, was that we had an idea of creating some sort of mural that when we look at it all together, we would have little pieces of art and then it would all become one thing as our whole school community. So the prompt with that was to find something that you're connected to within nature through the book or through your own life, and then to draw a small symbol on a brightly colored piece of paper. So with the idea that the drawing would be in black and the colored paper would be in color, and that we would find something to do with all these colors after they were done. So that was the prompt. And then we just figured we'll just see how it looks. So I'll show you what it looked like. Okay, and then we decided, we shared with the school community in our newsletter that we're going to be doing this project and we're really excited about it and we'll share it when it's done. And we didn't really know how that was going to look, but then we had the Orange Shirt Day Assembly coming at the end of September, and we thought that this book was a really nice celebration of culture and learning and coming together as community. So we kind of used that as a place for us to share what we did and have the kids get involved too. So on the ground there, you see like the rainbow colored squares. So that are all the little individual drawings that the kids did. And then we had our primary prep teacher who teaches arts education kind of make it look like a rainbow or like something. So we had her put that into one big poster, and then we had all the classes bring their chains. And then you can just see that we had groups of kids come up and just lay the chains around. And we didn't actually know what it was going to look like during the assembly. We just thought, bring it. And then the kids just kind of naturally started like creating circles around the poster. And so then it kind of just looked like a big hug, this poster with like a big chain of all these connections around it. And then you can go to the next one. And then that's what it kind of ended like. So you can kind of see that each paper has a little drawing and lots of different interpretations. And you can kind of see on the chains that people have written things or drawn things. So it was just a really nice way to have everybody involved, pretty low barrier. You could do it at any age. You could draw if you couldn't write. You could connect as big or as shallow as you wanted to whatever you felt was important to you. And then I think there's one more. So then this is a little video. Maybe I'll just explain it first, Archie. So one of the really special things about our school, I found out when I started there, was that there is this song that the staff and students sing at the end of every assembly. And then they drum and sing the song. They do one verse all together. And then as the kids are exiting the assembly, they continue drumming and singing them out. And it's a really powerful, special thing to be a part of if you're ever at our school during an assembly. And when I started, I thought it was really powerful. When we have new staff come in, we have a teacher that joined us from Don Ross this year, and the first time she heard it, she teared up, and I did the same. It just has that energy about it that you can feel the kids are connected to us. They're connected to each other. They leave the gym singing and drumming, and it's just a really powerful thing for them to be a part of. So this year I thought I'm going to try to catch just a little glimpse of it. Usually we're in it, so it's hard. But I grabbed just a little snippet of the song so you could kind of hear. So if you want to just listen for the student voices and the staff and just kind of get a little glimpse of the energy in the room. And I know it might not be perfect, but we'll go with it. And that's it. So it's just, a really, really lovely, powerful thing. And I think we have some teachers whose kids attended our school and are off to high school or finished the school yet. And they'll ask them, do you remember that song? And all of them are like, oh yeah, for sure. It's just something that really lives in the heart of our students and our staff, and just kind of a nice little glimpse into what Mamquam's all about. I think that's it for me. And happy to answer any questions or queries about this project or our school.
Thank you so much for your presentation. That is just a really beautiful, the video is really beautiful, and the power of song to connect people, I think is, like you said, it's really powerful, and I think it's really moving. It would be lovely to see that in person for sure. I have a question, but I'll open it up to others first. If there's anyone who has anything right now. Okay, I'll start, and maybe someone will join in later. I'm curious if you could talk a little bit about any differences that you noticed between this year's startup and last year's startup as a result of this connection project that you did.
Yeah, I think for staff, it eased a lot of the stress of what am I going to do? I have 1 week. I don't really want to start too much, but we can't just draw and paint for the whole week. So it felt, I think staff really appreciated having something to land on. Not that this activity or the book took the entire week, but having a little piece of it every day felt like that, we have something centering us. We have something to do. And the kids were really excited to do it too. They also want something to do. They don't just want to kind of play, and that's all fun to reconnect with their friends and have free time, but they also really want to accomplish something. So I think they enjoyed it, and they wanted to know what the piece was going to look like when it was done, and they wanted to share what each other were connected to and what they were grateful for. So I think overall it was really nice, and it felt nice to walk into every class and be able to see, what kind of paper chain you were making and what you're drawing on. And it made it as a person who's not teaching the classroom, it made it easy to enter each one and check out what everyone is doing, because it's just we know everyone's doing this at some point. So
that's fantastic.
Yeah, it was nice.
That's terrific. And I can imagine that the students felt really proud of themselves for having created such a large piece of artwork, right off the bat, in the first week of school. I think that sets a nice tone for everyone to say, like, I can accomplish
Yeah.
big, important things. That's lovely.
Yeah, it was nice. And then I think I actually missed one slide, but you don't have to go back to it. We do have it, that big poster is hanging in our entryway. So when you walk into our school, our entryway is quite small, but there's like the community fridge, and then the opposite side, we have the poster there to hang for the year. And then the hope is that every year we can come up with a theme and possibly have some kind of showcase. And then we have that shared for the whole school year to year. And then that's kind of reminds us throughout the year too, that like, remember this, we are connected, Mamcom's connected, and bringing back that like shared values. Yeah. Yeah.
It's such a sense of accomplishment for
Mm.
everyone. That's lovely. Thank you so much. Is there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you notice the interesting, well, it's that, oh, sorry,
So sorry. Did you notice any interesting conversations with students in or hear of any during the project? Like, oh, well, this is my experience, or this is my, like, was there any?
Yeah, I think like I wasn't leading one of the activities, so I can't share exactly how every conversation went. But as you go through, I think just having that common thread, like when we're asking the same questions for every class, then the kids are naturally talking about like, what are you connected to in nature? Who do you love? Like those things are kind of those easy entryways, and they're all just such like nice, beautiful questions and
Segues
Yeah.
to build the community. Yeah.
exactly.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It was lovely.
Thank you.
I don't see any other comments or questions. So, Paul.
No, well, no, you didn't miss me. I thought I'd just wrap it up by saying thank you, Janelle, for coming to share that with us. We often hear, I remember, as a principal, that first week was always a conversation, because, the questions around, well, what actually happens? Is it worth it? Is it valuable time? And I know that we used to try to come up with a theme in a similar way. So I really appreciate that you did this. It looked like it was a beautiful theme and really well received. And I love the art. You have a lasting legacy of, and you can connect that first week to some other things, perhaps, at another time. So really appreciate the work of yourself and your staff in doing that for your kids. Thank you.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I will snatch the books back because I'm sorry. I should have bought extras.
No.
Now enjoy the district library.
Very lovely.
From classrooms, and I feel like the teachers are gonna notice.
Or they might notice.
I don't want to take them away and the hope that they.
The kids will want them back.
They really might
Yeah.
notice. Yeah. That's really nice. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
coming and for giving your time to us to share that with us. That was really thoughtful and kind. Much appreciated.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Okay.
Enjoy your evening.
Lovely.
Janelle,
Thank
you
you so much. All right. Thanks so much. All right. And as you're on your way, you're welcome to stay, but we'll understand if you need to go. But we'll move on to item 5 on our agenda, which is our receiving delegations. And tonight we have delegation from Howe Sound Secondary School grad 2026.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much. Good evening, school board members, both present and virtual. My name is Christine McLeod, and I'm presenting on behalf of the executive of the Dry Grad Prom 2026 for Howe Sound Secondary and the Sea to Sky Alternative School, supported by Ms. Boisvert online here if there's any questions for myself or Ms. Boisvert. I'm here to ask the school board to consider a request for making the Dry Grad Prom for 2026 a sanctioned event. We understand the importance and significance of whether you permit this event sanctioned, and we're here to assure you that we'll be in full compliance with board policies and any additional regulations and procedures. So we plan to hold the event like last year at Capilano University because we found it was a really great venue that really allowed us to meet all of the board regulations, all of the school regulations, and make sure that the event was safe for guests and staff alike. We are managing the safety and security of students and guests by, I've got a couple of points here to share with you. And if there's any questions, if there's things that aren't mentioned, I'm happy to answer them. First of all, as usual, this is a no tolerance event for all persons in attendance. So students, guests, parents, and volunteers. We totally understand the need for a restrictive environment and prohibition of drugs. Alcohol is obviously the utmost importance. We're keeping in contact with Ms. Blover and her team on the school administration on a regular basis between the committee to make sure that we're always in compliance and making informed decisions. We'll be hiring the school bus to leave from Howe Sound Secondary, where everybody will be there for a pre-grad event with the community. So they will be traveling on buses, checked at the door by Ms. Blover and her team before they board the buses. So they get a bag, pocket check. They also, as in previous years, a couple of days before that, they actually have to do a bag check for any items other than a phone that they check in ahead of time that they might need during prom. So the only thing they have on them that day is a phone, and they still get checked at the door. There'll also be a pre-check of the venue at Capilano to make sure that nothing's been not pre-approved that's on the venue that shouldn't be. As far as any activities that are not board approved, we won't be having any of those. They're pretty similar to most years. There'll be an after dinner show, probably a hypnotist, a DJ, some pre-dinner activities like a photo booth and kind of some fun things like that. But everything would meet with board regulations. We are also looking into having one of our school liaison officers, perhaps on site for an undetermined duration during the event, probably for the beginning part. There'll always be prom committee members available to address any concerns, whether they be from staff at the venue, whether they be from guests, whether they be from students, whether they be from other parent volunteers. The ratio of parents to children is pretty good, actually. I think the board policy is 1 to 30, will be about 1 to 7. So there's typically about 40 or 45 volunteers that are present, and all the volunteers have their criminal record checked. Obviously, the parents will have to adhere to the same rules as the students and the guests. We'll have parents and security guards posted at all the exits and entranceways for the entire event, so there's no in and out privileges. All parents have specific tasks that they're doing through the event evening. There's no drop-in visits or from parents wanting to check that their kids are okay or anything of that sort. It's once they're in, they're in. And there'll be a sign-out sheet when they get released, which they will have to actually go through Ms. Blover and her team, and they will only be released to the parents that are on the pre-approved list when they had to sign up for prom. So we will only be releasing them to the parents that are on the approved list. And so I think that's kind of the main things. I did in the document that I sent a little agenda of how the evening might flow. But yeah, hopefully we've given you enough assurance that our top priority is to make sure that everybody is safe, that they have a memorable event. There's zero tolerance for drugs and alcohol or any other illegal substance. And it means everything to the parents. I know it means everything to the staff, and I'm sure to you as well that our graduating class has a really memorable and safe event. So thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll open the floor to any questions.
I wonder if we want to mention a little bit about the plan for costing and like because I heard somebody mention the fall harvest event, I think.
Yeah.
So maybe you've got more details on that than I do, Christine, but if you want to talk about sort of what we're aiming for cost.
For sure. One of the big things that the parent committee has actually taken the lead from the student grad committee this year, which is the biggest yet. There's 70 students on the grad committee. To give you an idea, my eldest graduated 2 years ago and there was 12. Wow. So Ms. Jasic has 70 students who meet every Wednesday who really wanted a voice and really wanted to be involved in actively fundraising to make sure one of their goals is to make sure grad is affordable for everybody. So one of their big challenges is they have a goal of raising $30,000 this year. And they're doing that through 3 events. So the November 21st Fall Harvest, February 21st Fashion Show, and a pickleball tournament in April, which will be open to the community. And their goal is to try and keep the ticket price somewhere around $100. So if the students can raise $30,000 and the parents can raise $30,000 through higher level sponsorship, and we sell 300 tickets at $100, that will allow us to make this all pencil. So it's no small task. Thanks for mentioning that, Erin. But that was probably their biggest ask. And for reference, the tickets last year were $200. So it's a fairly big decrease in cost that we're aiming for this year.
And they're
That's great.
Yeah, it's a really big event. Probably the biggest costs that have gone up from when we would have all probably graduated is the food costs and the labor that goes into food costs. So looking through binders all the way back to 2011 from high school proms, Howe Sound secondary proms, dinner used to be about $35 a person, and it's almost $80 a person. Yeah.
and the venues are expensive too. That being said, the fashion show models, anyone, and donations for clothes, correct?
So the fashion show that they've come up with is a theme. It's a vintage fashion show through the decades. And so they're definitely trying to go out into the community and as much as possible not have to buy the items, but have the items donated from thrift stores and from people going through estate sales, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. If it all works out, that they would sell the outfits afterwards. Thank you, Lisa.
Yeah, you're welcome. Our friend's closet has migrated there.
Okay, any other questions, comments? I think that looks really well. Thanks.
I have a really quick question.
Oh,
Sorry,
yes.
guys. I don't know if you can see my hand.
2 seconds ago, I looked and you were in a different spot on the screen.
Hello, Christine. You guys have been, I mean, perhaps maybe not you last year. I don't know when you were last involved. I can't recall. But I think these events generally, both in Whistler and Squamish have been, and Pemberton for that matter, have been run so well. What are your areas of particular concern? Like, where are you focusing or predicting that it might be a bit more of a challenge?
From a safety and security standpoint, or more
Yeah,
from
that's right. That's
financial?
right. Yeah, that's right.
This venue is actually really fantastic. It's going to be at Capilano, but 2 parts. So in the cafeteria at Capilano, sorry, I'll look this way. The
That's okay, don't worry.
cafeteria on the floor of Capilano will be the first part of the evening, and then we go downstairs to where the MPR is. It's actually already fenced like 99%, and the 1% that isn't will have parents that are there. Miss Boisvert was there last year. I think maybe you can speak to it, but it sounded like it was a pretty smooth event from a safety and security standpoint.
Yeah, I think for what I will be thinking about for this year is just the volume, Celeste. So we have such a large graduating class, and at the end of the night, we've always done like a really like, I see you picking up this kid. I know that you're the right person, and we kind of do like look people in the eye and okay, you're going in there. So and it's quite stressful in the heat of the moment for about 30 minutes. It can be really intense. And we're just going to have that many more students participating this year. So we're going to have to put some thought into maybe having like different sign out stations, like alpha ordered. So it isn't just me. I like to do it. It's my final, like it allows me to sleep at night because I know that I have seen every single kid off safely. But just for flow of the evening and for efficiency of getting kids off site, I think we'll probably have to put some more planning into that.
Also, there's some kids that tend to be ready to go. They're done, by 11. There's a couple of things that we can do as a parent committee as well to have some sort of bigger draw prizes and a couple of things to keep them a little bit longer. So the kids who really needed to be the first ones out can be, but we're not trying to get 300 plus people out in 15 minutes. We have a little bit longer time because some kids, mine was 2 years ago. She could have danced for another hour. So there'll be those ready to leave and those that are happy to stay another 20 minutes or so.
It sounds like you have a lot of adults, which will help with all of those things and figuring out just the systems that you need to have in place. But thank you to everybody who's putting in all of the work to make this happen for the kids. It's such a big milestone, and just watching all the hard work, and I'll be doing the same thing in about 5 years.
So one last thing, which isn't sort of part of the plan, but just for in order to make this work and the kids' goal, the students' goals, is we're sort of leaving a lot of the bulk of the activities of fundraising to the students, so they can also get the experience doing it. And the parents will launch probably this week a little bit higher level. It hasn't been done yet in a couple of years, but a little bit higher level, more medium to large business sponsorship and support at that level. So on the back end of things, to try and make sure that we have the funds in there that we need to, and then just let the kids have the front of house connection to community. If they're doing a silent auction or if they're doing the fashion show, they're the ones going to the businesses and getting the experience putting on these events.
Good. Okay. Great. Thank you very much for your presentation, Christine.
Thank you.
And our process is usually, once we've received all of your information and heard your presentation, that there's a short deliberation and then someone from senior staff will report back to you in a couple of days of the outcome of that discussion. So
Do you have any?
There's a motion.
There's a motion coming.
yeah, and then we usually have a motion.
We do a motion right now.
Okay, I'm not always the person who chairs these meetings.
I think, if I may, sorry.
Oh, here,
I'm sorry.
maybe what we could do is we could, we have a recommendation, and if there's someone prepared to make that recommendation, then we could go through the process and have
Yep, I can do that.
conversation.
Cynthia, may I? But before you do that, normally what we do is not do it right away, just in case there were any things that came up. Paul, were you going to say the same thing?
Well, what I was going to ask the same question about timeline, but I was just going to say, in past years, sometimes staff have additional questions that we want to follow up on, but I just wanted to say that the staff are confident, have no concerns. This organization runs a very tight ship with their events, and so have a great track record, and so we're confident in this being a well planned event.
Okay, oh, thank you for that, Paul. All right, with that, we do have a recommendation, and is there someone prepared to make that recommendation?
I can do that. That the Board of Education approve Howe Sound Secondary School's dry grad plan as presented, contingent on the final approval by the district and, sorry, is that school staff?
Mhm.
Yeah, and school staff.
And is there a seconder for that motion? Thank you, Melissa. Any discussion?
Do you have time restriction?
I would say it's not so much a time restriction, but to the point, can you hear me with this? Oh.
To the point that Ms. Boisvert made, this is the biggest grad class. We're 300, and there's 11 CMA students that come with us. If even 10% of those bring dates, we're probably 350. There really is only 2 locations that we can host this. It's the Train Museum in Capilano. So if you don't approve it, I'm not quite sure. We'll probably have to go back to the drawing board, I guess, and maybe try for a different venue. But I hope that this venue and all of the things we presented have alleviated any concerns you have.
Thank you so much. Any other discussion? All right, all in favor? I think that has been passed unanimously. Any opposed? I believe I am correct. All right, thank you so much for coming, and we wish you all of the best of luck with your upcoming grad. That's a really big class.
Yeah,
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Christine.
Thanks so much.
You also, I think on the communication, have the HSS prom at Gmail. If there's anything that comes up between myself and while they're, we'd be happy to come back and answer any questions.
Thank you so much for that. That's so
Thank you.
appreciated. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Erin. Okay. Lovely. Okay. That brings us to item number 7, which is board committees. And A is the Public Relations, Community Engagement and Communications Committee. I don't think they met this month.
We haven't yet.
They have not. Okay, so let's move on to Committee of the Whole. And we did meet today. Just to briefly outline what was discussed. Of course, if you want a more in-depth report or view, you can watch the recorded session online. But we'd had conversations around the upcoming Trustee Academy, which is a day of learning and advocacy for trustees across the province. We discussed school learning plans and who was going to be attending those as well. We had a really fantastic report from Trustee Rowan, who attended the Provincial Council this past month, I think, well, October, I believe it was. And there's a report online attached to the BCSTA portal that I would encourage all trustees to take a moment to take a look at. There's lots of really good information about the advocacy that takes place within the BCSTA. We also reviewed our agenda for the South Coast branch meeting, which will take place during Trustee Academy. And there was a reminder to all trustees that in December, we will be hosting elections for our board chair, vice chair, and provincial council members. If anyone would like to add anything, or if there's any comments or questions, please go ahead. Okay, all right. Then we do have a recommendation. Thank you, Lisa, and a seconder. Thank you, Melissa. Oh, wait, did I say Lisa? Lisa and Melissa, thank you so much. Any opposed? Seeing none, that's carried, which brings us to our policy committee meeting. And at our policy committee today, we reviewed 3 policies. Policy 903, which is entitled Community Partners and Corporate Partnerships. We looked at policy 402, land use near schools, as well as policy 905, entitled use of school facilities, buildings, and grounds. Policy 905, really just some housekeeping changes. Nothing major to change there. It's looking fine otherwise. Policy 904, which was land use near schools. Very few changes there, just a little bit of language to align with verbiage around using the word Sea to Sky rather than just school district. And policy 903, which is the community partnership and corporate partnership policy. This was brought to the board last month, and there was quite a few comments about that policy. And I'd just like to thank Danielle, who worked really hard to take into account all of our suggestions and ideas and created new language and structure to that policy, taking into account all of that, and also looking at what other school districts do to try and come up with a really, really strong policy, which I think has been created. So with that, if anyone would like to comment or add anything to that report, please do feel free. If there's something I missed or misinterpreted, I'm happy for anyone to comment. Otherwise, we do have a recommendation.
That the minutes of the policy committee meeting held on October 8th, 2025 be accepted.
Thank you, Lisa. And is there a seconder for that? Thank you, Rachel. All in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. Which brings us to the Finance Committee report. And today at Finance Committee, oh yes, we had an excellent presentation of our quarterly report from Elena, oh my gosh.
Menon.
Menon, her last name was escaping me. And it was a great presentation. The document, of course, is available online, as is a recorded transcript of the whole thing on YouTube. I think we could sum it up by saying that everything in our district seems to be on track at this point. We've spent, okay, Danielle, correct me if I'm wrong, I wrote quick notes. 13.5% of our annual revenue has been spent, and about 15%, oh wait, things are on track. The district has received about 13.5% of our annual revenue and spent about 15%, which is typical, and it is typical of this time, and that more funds, oh my gosh, I thought I had this under control. And that,
You're doing good.
and that
You're doing great.
our funding from the ministry doesn't always completely align with the way we have to meet our expenditures. So overall, long story short, I fumbled through that, and all saying that it does look like we're really on track and that the district is in a sound position at this time. Thank you. Thanks, Danielle. Are there any other comments?
Just that if the public is listening and they would like to see the actual meeting in its totality, it is recorded earlier today.
Exactly. Yeah. And the presentation from Elena will be much better than the synopsis I just provided, but I hope it made sense to everyone. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that. We do have a set of minutes that need to be adopted.
The minutes of the Finance Committee meeting held on October 8th, 2025 be accepted.
Thank you so much, Lisa. And is there someone who's prepared to second that motion? Thank you. Melissa, all in favor? Okay, seeing no one opposed, that is carried. Thank you so much, everyone. That brings us down to item 8, general. And item B is information items, and we'll begin with our Secretary Treasurer, Danielle Haverstock, who has a report on pay transparency.
Okay, I'm actually just gonna pull up the report.
May I, Danielle? Did we see this last year? I don't
Oh, this is
recall.
new.
Yeah, I don't recall seeing it. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so this report, this pay transparency report it's the first year that our school district has had to do it. However, school districts that had employees over 1,000 employees last year had to do it. And so they phased in this report. We didn't have to do it till this year. So we're actually just under 1,000 employees, but we have to do it now. Ongoing every year now. And then so employees from 300 to 9 or to 1,000 or organizations that size had to start doing this report this year. And then starting next year, any school districts that are under 300, they would have to start doing that next year. So this is a new requirement. So we had to post this report. It's posted on our website by November 1st, 2025. And so, as I mentioned, employers with over 300 employees are required to publish now this annual pay transparency report. And it's as per the Pay Transparency Act. And we're supposed to, employers are to report on differences in compensation based on gender. So earlier, I think about a month ago, we sent out a survey to get updated gender. Because as employees start with the district, we did collect some gender information, but we didn't actually have information if somebody was like a binary person. So we sent out a request to see if anybody had to get updated gender information. And so that was for the categories we had were for a man, a non-binary person, woman, or prefer not to answer. And due to the small sample size for non-binary and like unknown, we weren't able to separate that out in the reporting. And I'm very proud to say that the data for CU Sky School District for pay equity shows that there's no gap for women. Quite the opposite, actually. which is great. So I'll just scroll down here. Just want to stop and just see before I get started if there's any questions at all.
You didn't have to break out how many men versus women, like at the final page there at the,
No,
yeah,
I will do
interesting.
that though.
What's that?
I have that though.
Yeah,
Mhm.
interesting that they didn't make,
Yeah.
because the organization is predominantly female driven, right? So, and then that last line that the organization,
I'll go through the.
yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah.
I have a really quick question, Danielle,
Yeah,
before you
go ahead.
move away from this page. Sorry, I just wasn't sure if you could see me with the screen share. Do you know how this compares to other districts?
I took a look at a couple other bigger districts and they were quite the opposite of us. So I didn't look,
Really? Okay.
yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, that's very
Mm-hmm.
excellent. Okay. Yeah.
Excellent if you're.
Yeah, so you can see here, here. And this is the mean hourly gap pay. So in this organization, the women's average hourly wages are 10% more than men. For every dollar men earn in average hourly wages, women earn 1.1 in average hourly wages. Okay. So when I looked at other school districts, that was not the case from the ones I looked at.
It's not because of further education.
No, I don't think so, but I do think it has to do with that we have like a much larger population of women.
Yeah.
We also, if you look, like quite a few of our principals are
Yeah.
women.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which you might not find, I'm not sure. In other school districts, I'm not sure. And then this is for the hourly, this is hourly wages. So again, in this organization, women's median hourly wages are 24% more than men. For every dollar men earn in medium hourly wages, women earn 1.24 in medium hourly wages. And then down here, it explains the difference between the mean and the median. This is the average, and this is like the mid-range. Okay, and then very similar kind of thing for overtime pay here. And that the only exception was with this section here, where percentage of employees in each gender that men they're having more overtime paid based on the number of men that are getting overtime pay. There are no school districts that receive bonus pay, so there's nothing there for us to report on that. And yeah, and this you can just see in women occupy 79% of the highest paid jobs and 73% of the lowest paid jobs. So we do have altogether 908 employees. 218 of them are male, 688 female. Okay. Yeah. Any questions on that?
That's interesting. No, anyone, any questions?
And this can be found under the board financial information section, like where the rest of the financial statements and the budget and all of that stuff can be found. It's under that same area.
Great. Okay, thank
Just
you.
gonna stop sharing.
Thanks. That's great. And I just have to, right, there we go. Great. Thank you so much for that, Danielle. It's a very interesting report, and thanks for your presentation. Really thorough and clear. Thanks so much. I'd like to move on in our agenda to item 8BB, which is the strategic plan update, and I will hand it over to our assistant superintendent sitting in for our superintendent today, Mr. Narette.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so the strategic plan process has been moving along nicely. As the board knows, we are working with Kevin Godden, who is a facilitator who is working with us to help kind of bring us through the process in a good way. We meet regularly with Kevin as a senior team. And just recently, in the last couple of weeks, we've kind of moved into the second phase of the process where we're starting to get organized to start gathering information from the various partner groups and communities, rights holders, etc. So what that has looked like so far is Superintendent Nicholson has put together a team of representatives from many of the different partner groups, including the ILT, the Instructional Leadership Team, the Teachers Association, CUPE. Oh gosh, help me. Who am I missing? It's a large group of about 20 facilities. Right.
Yeah.
Thank you. 25 to 30 folks from throughout the district. And so what that group has done is they've met to kind of review the questions that are going to be included on the surveys that get sent out to parents. For example, they've reviewed the questions that are going to be used to gather feedback from the different groups as they meet. So, for example, the two representatives from the Instructional Leadership Team were in the room, reviewed some of the questions that they will take back to the entire Instructional Leadership Team, have a conversation about the strategic plan and the things that they want us to know about. Same thing with the principals and vice principals. We had, I think, 3 representatives in the room from the principal vice principal group. They will take their questions and go back and work with the principal vice principal group to gather feedback. And that will look similar for all of the other different groups as well. And of course, we'll be working directly with the nations and the IEC to gather, to work with them as well on gathering information and feedback and input into our strategic planning process. And then there are the surveys. So student surveys, parent surveys, etc. So we had that meeting about a week and a half ago, a couple of weeks ago. And so those groups will start meeting in the next month or so to do that work of gathering data. The surveys will be going out out to the different groups for receiving input and data. And then the next stage would be to start analyzing that information after it comes in. So that is a little bit of an update as to where we are currently at in the process.
Thank you so much for that, Paul. Are there any questions or comments? I guess I would just ask, have you had good reception to the process from the working group people? I can't remember.
Task group?
The task groups?
Yeah. So that larger group, the task group, it was a very positive meeting. The group seemed to be really engaged and pleased to be there and part of the process. And I know, when they go back to their larger groups, there are a lot of folks who are really looking forward to engaging and having an opportunity to provide some information, because at the end of the day, we've been saying this all along, it's really critically important that when we come out of this process with a new strategic plan, it's so important that our organization feels that they are connected to it and have been involved. And so that's really important to us. So we're doing our best to make sure that the process is inclusive and includes as many folks as we can.
Sure. Celeste, I'm just going to ask one question and then I'll get to you if you don't mind. Paul, you mentioned that you called it the new strategic plan. foresee it being a huge divergent plan from what already exists, or similar but building upon?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of talk about that because our current strategic plan, there's so many powerful components to it that everyone agrees that we don't want to necessarily lose. And it's not that we're going to stop working on those things,
Mhm.
but this is going to be a new strategic plan based on where we are now. It could be that some of the pieces from our current plan will continue to use. But we also, this new plan needs to represent a new workforce, I guess, because when the previous one was done, it's been a number of years. And so, a lot of the folks who were involved in that have moved on. So again, as I said before, that engagement piece and if you don't have an organization that feels connected to the plan, then it's not going to be an effective plan. So we're really working hard to make sure we have that connection.
Okay, thank you for that. Celeste, go ahead. I hope I didn't upstage you.
No, not at all. I'll just actually build on what you just said, Paul. So with respect to us staying connected and feeling like we're part of the process, because we're not in looking at the data with you, I wonder if it would be possible if there's any data that has been collated by our next meeting or the meeting after that in the in-camera section, if we could see maybe some of the raw data, if that can be linked, just for our own knowledge and feelings of engagement and seeing what's happening behind the scenes. Doesn't need to be a lengthy item on the agenda, but then if we have any questions as you're going through the process, to have board members be given the opportunity to ask questions or understand what's happening as you're doing this important work, because it's been some time since we were really closely involved, and then we can stay connected to the process that way.
Yeah, for sure. And I would say, Celeste, that, I'm confident that as we move forward in this process, that there's going to be engagement for trustees, beyond what's already happened. So I will though bring that message specifically back to Superintendent Nicholson, but that notion of engagement does certainly include the board as well. So thank you for that. Yeah, very important.
Thank you. Thank you, Celeste, and thank you, Paul, for that. Thank you for taking that comment to Chris and sharing that with him.
Absolutely.
Any other comments? All right. Seeing none, then I'll wish you all the best in the ongoing work.
Yeah.
It's a big project, but very important work as it does guide everything that happens in the school district. So thank you for that. We'll move on to item C, which, Mr. Red, I believe this is also you, an update on the 701 inclusive education and Indigenous education.
Right. Yes. And Archie, do you have the? Yeah, let's do that one first.
Oh, and pardon me. I think I said 701. I should have said 1701.
That's okay.
We know what you meant.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, so I'm presenting this information. This is information that was shared with me by Director Clark. And so I'm going to do my best to present it to you so that it makes sense. I know that he's used this presentation. You can go to the next slide, Archie. I know he's used this format before, so the information shouldn't be, unfamiliar. The first slide just really describes from the ministry point of view kind of that rationale for collecting the 1701 information each year. And it's used to sort of help with the funding process in school. So students who have an identified disability or diverse abilities, it's that the process is there to ensure that full participation in learning, and provide some additional resources for students to meet their their needs. And if we go to the next slide, sorry. Yeah, so there's the funding model, the basic allocation just means that base per student amount that every child receives from ministry when they register in school. And so for inclusive education, there is an additional amount, as I had just mentioned, that is generated by the different identified categories of special needs. And I just want to reiterate that's really important to understand this notion that these funds are not aligned for specific students. So if there's a child who is identified with a physical disability in a wheelchair, in a wheelchair, and they qualify for funding, part of that funding goes to support that child. But it's the same for all of the categories. All of all of those funds come to the district as a total amount, and that total amount of funding supports things like school-based staffing, the student learning, the learner support teachers, the district itinerant services that go into supporting students as well. And then also that those funds go to support other really critical positions such as education assistants who work directly with students who need that direct support every day. So there's a wide range of services that funding goes to support. Okay, we can go to the next slide, please. Okay, this gives sort of a overview of the different levels. So level 1, you can see the amount there. There's a slight increase from last year's amount, and that level 1 funding supports students who are physically dependent or deaf in the deaf and blind categories. The level 2, 24,340, which is an increase of 270 from last year. And there's a list there of all of the different categories that are aligned with that level of funding. And then level 3, 12,300, which is an increase of 140. And that's the intensive behavior or serious mental illness category. Now, as we move to the next slide, you kind of, we might have to go back and forth because, well, actually, sorry, it'll be the slide after this, but all of those categories, it's, we might have to go back if you want to be reminded of what the letter is aligned with, which of the categories. But what this slide does is it just reminds us that there are a number of categories here that are actually not specifically funded. So if I am a student with a learning disability, there's no specific funding that comes with that that designation from the ministry. However, again, that total amount of funding from all of the funding that comes in is intended to help us support students in these categories as well, so that they do receive supports at the school level. So the next slide will show you the numbers over the years, and it goes back to 2017. And you'll see what I mean. It shows category A, C, D, E, F, etc. I have a printout here of what they actually are, just in case anyone has any questions. What's that one again? If you have a question about it. So you can see on the last column, 2025, what the numbers are and how the numbers have changed over the last, I guess, how many years are there? 8 or 9. So I think that is the last slide for this. Is that the last slide for this particular presentation, Archie? Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. So this is the English language learning numbers for this year. So the number of students who are enrolled in English language learner services. And you can see that there has been an increase over last year. I'll do my best to answer questions if there are any questions.
Thank you so much for that presentation, Paul. Thank you. Are there any questions? Go ahead, Lisa.
So, Paul, can we go back to that second last slide, Arsh, if you don't mind? So what I'm wondering is, are we thinking that there might be a correlation between COVID and return to quote unquote normal? When you look at these numbers and you look at COVID numbers to the increase that we're seeing in 2025, maybe it's just me, but that's a significant jump from 21 in all. Anyway,
yeah, I'm not sure that we can
make a correlation. We can't connect
because these are, this is autism. This is behavior, learning disability. Well, not learning disabilities.
Well, you look at the cues. Like, yes, our student populations have gone up, but that's a significant jump in an unfunded. Anyway, sorry. Those were just numbers that were like standing out significantly.
Yeah, I can see how you would ask that question because it does look that way. But yeah, I'm not sure that there's any evidence to say that it's related to COVID. Yeah.
The earlier
5-year period, you've got 426 is your total to 560, and then 560 up to 899.
Right.
It's significant.
Right. Yeah, and we know that this is a trend province-wide, not just for us. It's important to note that. Now, I can't say that there isn't a correlation. I would doubt it, but I have not done that research, so I can't really say with any certainty that there isn't.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Celeste, please go ahead.
Yeah, I'll just quickly, before I ask my questions, say the designations would be related to assessment. So it could just be an increase in resourcing around assessment, maybe across the product. Like it could be something as simple as that, not necessarily an actual increase in the prevalence of whatever. The one thing I wanted to ask is, I know sometimes it's not possible to link these prior to the board meetings, but often what I find is I go back to our agendas looking for presentations like this. Would it be possible to link it both in the agenda and maybe I don't know, just so that when we're looking for this stuff later on, we can get back to the actual documents?
Yeah, no, it's a good point. I think this is just a result of a different circumstance this month with just in how I had to source the information for you. So it's the point's well taken. Yes, yeah, we should have had this linked for you.
No problem at all. It's just so nice, often later on we'll be having conversations with whomever in the community and I'll go back and want to have a look at the presentation, and sometimes it's trickier to find when it's not linked in the agenda, and then the public may also want it, and you present such good presentations, and thank you to Phil as well for the work done on it. So thanks, Paul.
Yeah, no problem. It's a great point, and we can make sure that you get links to these after the fact here.
And I just have one thing I just feel like I want to say it, and I don't think there needs to be a discussion about it, but I often wonder if communities who have students who live in more rural and remote communities are at a funding disadvantage because we probably have, or those families have a more difficult time finding access to getting diagnosis.
Yes.
So
yes.
Yeah. So, what sort of a shortfall is that resulting in for districts? Not necessarily us, but I'm sure for sure ones that are even more northern
That is
And-
like the primary foundation for the funding model review, right? Like
Yeah,
one of the
that-
things that
I'm
Mhm.
sure that would be one of the things they consider.
Yeah.
But like I say, I don't think we need to debate this, but I do often find it curious, or the long waiting lists for diagnosis, and that's all.
And there's more people who are paying for private diagnosis because the waits are so long, and then there's more pediatricians who are in the area now. So it is there is higher diagnosis than
That too.
5-10 years
Yeah.
ago.
So I think it's something as a board, maybe we can consider, not necessarily at this meeting because it's not part of our agenda, but in the future as like a piece of advocacy. Just, I think, I'm sure it's been there before, greater access to diagnosis. So anyhow, I just felt inclined to say that, but we can move on in our agenda if there's nothing else pertaining to this particular item. Okay, and seeing none, please pass along our thanks to Phil for this document, and thank you so much for presenting it on his behalf, Paul.
No, of course.
Following this, we have in our agenda item D, attachments, which are media reports and field trips.
There's one more
Oh,
presentation. Indigenous education.
Yes.
oh, sorry. Oh, that's also you.
That's okay. No problem.
I'm so sorry. Okay.
It's all good. Yeah, so this report is to update the board on Indigenous students of Indigenous ancestry enrollment. So this first slide gives you a bit of a summary. So we have a total of 527 self-identified students of Indigenous ancestry, which is down by 44 from last year. Students who are living in community is up by 17 at 199. And then we have a breakdown for the North and the South. And then students who are participating in the Indigenous education programs, 517, which is down by 30 from last year. Additional funding to support Indigenous education is at $1,790 per student, and that is an increase of $20 from last year. And now I'm not really sure on this last bullet because this is from Chris, and I'm trying to interpret this. I apologize. Indigenous students and ELL 38.
Hold on, I probably know it.
Is that they're in both categories? Do you know, Daniel?
I'm just looking, what is he saying?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just drawing a blank on this one. I think it's probably students in ELL who are Indigenous. I think that's probably what that is because the next slide is similar, and the next slide actually shows in each of the special education or inclusive education.
What I have here is that for English language learners, we're getting funded at $1,815. So I think that may have been an error in the slide.
Well, I think what this is it's the number of students in ELL who are Indigenous.
Yeah, the funding amount is correct.
Right. Yeah, and so if you can go to the next slide, Archie, please.
There we go.
And this next slide is all of the inclusive education categories that we talked about before. And this shows the number of students in each category who are of Indigenous ancestry.
Mm.
And the masked item just simply means that the number is too low to make it public because we risk being able to identify students if it said there was only one or two.
I think it's under 10, they mask it.
Okay.
Thank you for that. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, it's nice to see there was a slight increase in funding. across those areas.
Very small, only 1%.
It's only 1%.
Yeah.
It's very slight.
There's,
Better than no percent.
yeah.
And any other comments or questions? All right. Okay, seeing none, thank you again so much for that report.
No problem.
We can now move on to media report and field trips. Those are attached to the agenda and can be looked at your pleasure. And we'll scoot all the way down to item D, which is policy motions. And we have some recommendations. But before that, I think we'll ask our secretary, Danielle Haverstock, if she would comment on our first policy 903, community partnerships and corporate partnerships.
I think you did a pretty good job explaining earlier when we were talking about our policy committee meeting. This policy we had seen at the last month, and there was just some revisions made to it based on board feedback. And if anybody's interested, they're welcome to watch the policy committee meeting from earlier today.
Thank you for that. Lisa?
Just a quick note, the attachment within the agenda, the amendment that we'd made or suggested will be corrected
After the fact.
Okay,
Yeah.
just double checking.
All right. We have a recommendation.
That the Board of Education approves policy 903, community partnerships and corporate partnerships as presented.
Thank you, Melissa. Lisa, thank you for seconding. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. Thank you so much for all of your work on that one, Danielle. It was quite involved in quite a lot of work, so thank you so much. That will bring us to policy 407, land use near schools. And Mr. Lorette, if you'd like to comment on that.
Well, just very briefly, really, the changes here were a kind of a reorganization of the structure of the wording. There wasn't any major change to the content of the policy, just to changes mostly for clarity. Pardon me. Some bullet points replaced some of the items that were kind of buried in paragraphs before, that kind of a change. And I think also there was an effort to emphasize the notion of safety in terms of developments in proximity to schools.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. There's a recommendation.
That the Board of Education approves policy 904, land uses near school as presented.
Thank you, Melissa. And thank you, Rachel. Any comments? I think I'll just say thank you to Paul for all of your work on that policy. I think that the changes do make for ease of reading when you're
Well, thank you, but I'll have to pass those on to Superintendent Nicholson because that was his work, not mine. And I'm just, channeling the work.
so today.
That's right.
Okay, well, give our thanks to him. I think definitely ease of reading was definitely in play there. With that, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Seeing none, that too is carried. Thank you so much. And finally, Secretary Treasurer Haverstock, I'll turn policy 905, use of school facilities, buildings and grounds over to you.
Thank you. That policy had just mostly superficial wording changes and just changed the wording to sound better, but nothing, no substantial changes with that one.
Yeah, thank you so much. And we have a recommendation there as well.
That the Board of Education approves policy 905, use of school facilities, buildings and grounds as presented.
Thank you, Melissa. Thank you, Lisa. Any comments? Okay, seeing none, all in favor? Thank you so much. Any opposed? Seeing none, that too is carried. Thank you so much, everyone, for that work. There are no action items, nothing to be brought out of camera at that time, and no bylaw. that brings us to our final item on the agenda, which is questions of clarification from the public. So I'll give our secretary treasurer a moment to see if there's anything that's come in online.
There is nothing there.
Okay, seeing nothing. I believe we have covered all of our agenda items today and all of our work has been completed. Thus, we can call this meeting adjourned. Thank you so much, everyone.